You have to know your limitations. You heard nothing is impossible. It's not true. Some things are impossible. It's impossible for me to jump out of the window right now and land on my feet like a cat. It's not going to happen. So let's know our limitations. It's okay to think that I can achieve anything. It's also, how many people in this room in the next 20 years do you think will end up on the moon? Anybody? No astronauts? No aspiring astronauts? India will send a man or woman to the moon in the next 15 to 20 years. Maybe none of us. That's okay. It's not a bad thing, but it's good to know what I will not be able to do. Anybody here hoping to get selected for the Indian cricket team for the World Cup in February? But there are people out there that have been playing well in the last few years, hoping to be selected. So let's know our limitations. Keep learning. I started by talking about this. Keep learning. If you hear, and I talk to a lot of students, you often hear from business students here and elsewhere that the tone is, I've learned everything. I just got an MBA, or a PGDM, or an MIBM, or whatever the title is. Actually, that's a starting point. That's just a stepping stone. It's not the end, but we act like I've learned everything. Now I matter and you don't. Let's keep learning, and we'll talk more about that. Be willing to fail. This is very important. You can't be scared of failure. Unfortunately, in our culture, failure is seen as a bad thing. It doesn't matter. Even Delhi University has a different system. Anybody here from Delhi University? They have a different system. Even when we were in college here in the 80s, they used to give you 9 chances to pass a course. I'm not saying you should give that many chances. 9 chances, as long as you finish it. Every semester you can keep taking the course. Pass it, that's it. And nobody even cares how many times you failed before. Here it's seen as a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a measure, and obviously I'm not saying everybody should fail, but it's not the end of the world. And people who fail and then succeed are perhaps going to do better in life than those who never fail, because they think everything will come easily. So it's important to be willing to fail. Don't aim to fail. I'm not saying, okay, I'll take this exam, professor, but I'm going to fail, I guarantee you. No. But it's okay. It's okay. At least I tried. I can take the safe route and not try anything. I never failed, but you also never achieved it. And lastly, find a cause. And this is a good time to start. Meaning, you're about to graduate, you're getting a degree, getting a good degree. Find a cause. There's an old saying, those who stand for nothing will fall for anything. You have to stand for something. Find a cause, whatever the cause is, and you will find it. You don't have to find it right now, you don't find it today. Keep your eye open. You could decide, like Professor Muhammad Yunus, to give up a flourishing academic career and come back and say, I'm going to get micro loans to women in Bangladesh. He was a professor, doing very well. Or there are so many other people doing this. I mean, Azim Premji has just set up $2 billion trust fund for education. It doesn't have to be that big, it could be small. But find a cause, because a cause helps us to keep focused. So that everything I do is, am I doing something? It may be just that I'm going to make a difference for the Darwan in my factory where I work and make sure that he actually has a proper place to stay. But there has to be a cause. Otherwise, what happens? What happens if you don't find a cause? You become the cause. I must take care of myself. Why am I still driving a Mahindra? I should be driving a BMW. Why am I still driving a BMW? I should be driving 2 BMWs. I'll just weld them together. Unfortunately, most of us, and because the way the corporate environment works, it's all about money. It's all about money. Who's making more money? We forget that there has to be a bigger purpose. We have to make money to survive. If we don't make money, nobody cares. We don't read about business cases or Harvard business cases or best practices of companies that have failed. How many times have we tried? Let's learn about this company. They failed. It's a good way to learn actually. Why did they fail? But we talk about successful companies. And what is the measure of success? Bottom line. It's one measure. It's not the only measure. It's not the only measure. That's my point. So, do the right things. What does that mean? We'll go through each one of these. And again, like I said, if you have a question or a comment at any point, please feel free to stop me. Let's talk very, very basic, micro first. You are going to take a job, get to a company. You can't walk in first day and say that Arup came and he said, we should just care about society. So I won't do any work here, I'll just care about society. No. You'll be out. So let's start there and then build up. Learn about the company. You'll be amazed at how many people we've met, and maybe you've met, work for a company and don't know much about the company. That does not show a good sense of learning. That's the least you have to do. Learn as much as you can about the company you work for. I worked for Ranbaxy, I mentioned. I still keep meeting people. Ranbaxy has gone on to become a huge company now. It was big then, but it's huge now. I knew people then who worked for Ranbaxy. I've met people, I've kept in touch with friends. It's amazing how many people still, when we start talking about history, oh, I didn't know that. How can you not know that? And these are things that are published in the company's balance sheet. These are things that are published in company materials. Where the company started, what was the origin, who was the first partner. And these are things to learn about the company. You have to learn about the company because what does it show? It shows pride of association. I want to learn as much as I can about someone or a group that I'm associated with. If you don't have pride of association, then don't be there. Then don't be there. Learn about the company. And trust me, the company will be happy that you care about it. Learn about the job. Learn the job. We can all get by. We can all get by. We do this in college and school. Okay, I'm never going to become a trigonometry professor, so why do I need to learn trigonometry? So I do enough to get by. Most of us decide that. Calculus need to go. Just have to pass. Pass mark 33. Okay, I can aim for 33. And maybe get 34. We haven't done that. Achievement 34. Overachiever. 34 maybe. That's one way to do it. The other way to do it is, let's trust the people that put the curriculum together. There must be a reason they put it in there. They didn't just pick courses at random and say, which one can we torture her with? Let's do it. There's a reason they put it on. It's your best. So learn the job. What am I supposed to do? People don't know. Some companies don't give out job descriptions. They just give titles. People assume, they assume people will figure it out. If your job is sales associate, you must know you're supposed to sell. That's not enough. Let's learn the job. One way to learn the job is to ask a lot of questions. You have to ask a lot of questions. You can't learn the job just by reading. Ask people who've done the job before. Some of them may still be in the company, they've been promoted. Some may be in other departments because they got fired, but that's okay. Ask people who've done the job before. Ask bosses. Ask peers, same level, other people who are doing the same job. Ask subordinates. We forget them. That's a group we always forget. The higher up we go, the more we forget them. They can tell us. They see a different perspective of the job that nobody else can see. It's them. What do you expect from your bosses? What do you get? What do you not get? How can I do it differently? Ask customers. Ask clients. Many companies now, especially automobile companies, actually allow potential customers to come in and help design the car. Volkswagen does this. Many companies do this. They bring them in at the design stage. Little things that companies often forget. They put 6 airbags and all kinds of stuff, but they forget a cup holder. In the US, everybody is drinking coffee and tea while driving because we have long drives. So a cup holder is very important. You put a cup holder in a car in Kolkata, it's a waste. With so many bumps, you have coffee all over you. You don't need a cup holder. And the drives are long because of traffic, not because of distance. So you can stop anywhere, get down, have a limca, have a jog, have whatever. So you have to be practical. Find better ways to do things. Just because it's been done one way before does not mean that's the best way to do it. We always assume, that's why we learn best practices. Let's just learn how she did it. That's good. But maybe there's a better way to do it. Maybe there's a better way to do it. General Motors was one of the first among the large companies in the world to start what we call a simple suggestion scheme. Most companies have it. There's a box somewhere. People are throwing their chewing gum wrapper into that, and cigarette packets, and it's not used. They use it very seriously, very sincerely. And they've been tracking it for 40 years now. And they've tracked billions of dollars that they have saved through employee suggestions. They track. Pick up with that. Better ways of doing things. There's a very fast, small example from Florida, Tallahassee, Florida. They have these, I don't know if any of you have traveled, but typical American cities where residential areas, suburbs, where people have these houses, independent single-story homes with a garage next to it. Then a single-story home, garage next to it, and there's a driveway in front of the garage where you park your extra cars. And once or twice a week, the garbage truck comes, which comes from the city, the corporation, or the municipality. And there's a guy or a lady hanging behind that truck. You may have seen it in the movies. Hanging behind the truck, he or she jumps out, walks all the way to your garage. So let's say that's the garage door and this is the driveway, so this is the street. He or she will go there, pick up the garbage can, which is made of polyurethane or whatever the material, which is provided by the city, comes back to the truck, empties it, then goes back there, puts it back, comes back, jumps up, goes to the next house. Standard practice. In fact, it still continues in many cities. One of the people who was doing this job in Tallahassee, Florida several years ago, is hanging there, and that's it. He kept thinking, he says, perhaps there's a different way to do this. He says, if when I leave the warehouse in the morning, I bring an empty garbage can. Because after all, it's provided by the city. So it's not that everybody has different, they're all the same. Black for standard garbage, blue for recyclable, provided by the city. So if I start with an empty one, when I go to the first house, I carry the empty one with me. I put it in. I pick up the filled one, I come back to the truck. I empty it. I don't have to go back now. That house has already got its garbage can replaced, and I have another empty one for the next house. Making sense? So he said, I can cut the trips between truck and garage, or truck and another garbage, from 4 to 2. After the 65th house, when I finish the last one, I have an extra garbage can. So the one I took out in the morning, I can now replace it. Simple. Obviously, nobody before him had thought of it. Very simple. He proposed this to the city manager, which is equivalent to, I guess, a mayor or somebody here in KMC. And the first reaction was not, wow, great suggestion. First reaction was, that's not your job. Thinking is my job. This is the problem. Ultimately, it got implemented. This union environment went through the union for 3 years. It makes perfect sense. Think about it. There are a lot of garbage cans lying in the warehouse because the city provides them. Take an empty one in the morning, 2 hours, 3 hours later, after you're done with it, you bring an empty one back. That's it. And so these little things, we don't think.